Hello, everybody. It is Monday, I believe July the 13th. I think I have the date right. It is week 2 in July for us. And because we're finished doing our project-based learning, kind of like unit that we were doing from Royal Fireworks Press, we are now jumping back in to our ELA and stuff like that. But it's not full-blown ELA yet. We're going to work up to it. So I figured I would walk through and show you guys what we did today. If you're new here, hi, welcome. My name is Nancy. I am an eclectic year-round homeschooler. I've been homeschooling now. I think this is going to be going into my 8th year of homeschooling. I have 2 boys. I have a rising 5th grader in the fall and a rising 7th grader in the fall. Okay, so you guys know last week looked a little bit different because we did a little mini unit on the octopus in general and stuff. And so that was like a lot of fun. So to replace that this week, we're actually learning about pirates. So this pirate unit, and I always mess up this person's name, and I apologize. I don't know if it's something that she still offers because I've had this for at least 3 years. My whole goal is to just reuse things that I already have. So when I go through the books and I show you all that, I'm just reusing what I have, except for one exception, which I'll show you in a bit. But it's so that you can find her. I don't think she has a web. I think she sells on Instagram. But anyway, at least I'll link her Instagram username down there and then you can find her that way. Because again, I don't know if this unit study, I don't even remember purchasing it, but apparently I did. I just did a search on my computer to see if I had any pirate stuff and I did. So this is her stuff. And so how I've been doing it is we're just reading a little bit from this every day. So today, for instance, we read this, and up to here. And it has tons of interesting subjects. I want something that is a low output lesson. There aren't any writing assignments. There aren't anything other than just having fun. I just want us to learn and just to have fun. You know, that's pretty much all I want to do. There's no heavy research assignments or anything like that. And then in between all that, there's some interesting assignments or like activities, I guess I should say, where you're doing things like this. You're matching famous pirate flags to the pirate it belonged to. And then here is not your answer key, but your guide that you would use to like do that. So basically you're learning a lot about pirate flags and what the different symbols meant and stuff, you know? So yeah, and it goes into the Jolly Roger, the pirate flag. You know, it goes into all that, why it's called the Jolly Roger, what they ate, just like a whole bunch of stuff. And so that's what I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna read a little bit from this every single week. There are some, let me see if I can, famous pirate flags. Did I already show that? I just took this, oh, see, I double printed. I just took this straight off of the printer. So some in here may be repeats because I printed some double stuff for the kids to do. But somewhere in here, there is a pirate model or pirate, like here's inside of a pirate ship. And then somewhere in here, there's just a blank template that you would just use to fill in. Oh, here it is. So here's like your template, and then I don't know. Somewhere in here, there's a blank model. I haven't quite organized it. Ooh, look at this. How pirates dressed. And then going over the pirates code, like their code of conduct and stuff like that they had. So anyway, so I'm just using that printable. It's good for what I'm looking for right now. I don't want anything so in-depth. I just want us to have fun. We're going to be watching Pirates of the Caribbean, every single movie from Pirates of the Caribbean for this whole next week and through the weekend. And I thought that would be a fun tie-in. So my main focus of this lesson is this book. I want us to do a deep dive into Captain Kidd. So we started reading it today. We went through, we learned who he was and kind of like the motivation almost leading up to piracy, you know? So that was kind of interesting. That we have a family read aloud going on. This is the final week for Moby Dick. I just kind of wanted to pick something that was going to fit this ocean theme that I have going on. I have another book lined up after this. So stay tuned for next week and I'll be sharing a new theme that we're going to be doing for week 3, the books we're going to use for that, and then the new family read aloud. I totally expected this book to be done over the weekend. And not by me forcing it, by the way, but because my kids are absolutely really digging Moby Dick. They are really actively engaged in the story of Moby Dick. They are really, and you know what? I had never read it before, and I am really digging it too. It almost has this really solemn, um, not creepy. There has to be a better word for creepy, but this ominous. There's an ominous undertone and a lot of foreshadowing and all the good juicy stuff that I didn't expect. So I'm actually really digging Moby Dick. So we will be done with it sometime this weekend. Okay, so those three are kind of like my main focus. So we have these three things. These are the things I'm really focusing on. These three things. Now, everything else, I just shopped my shelves and I'm just pulling anything pirate themed that will kind of match. And then I'm just using it to just beef it up a little bit, you know? Can you survive being lost at sea? 51 choices and endings. For some reason, my kids are really into these Can You Survive series when we do it as a read aloud. I don't know. I think they get really into the decisions that are being made when we make them together as a family. And so they have really been enjoying these. Then I have this Pirates Magnified book. Let me open it. I think it's going to hit the camera. I am really liking this, and I don't think I'm going to get rid of this book. At first, I was like, you know what? I think we've outgrown it, but I actually don't think we've outgrown it. So if you've never seen these type of books, they're always giving you a really cool piece of information for every page. Like, look at over here. You can see the different parts of a ship and stuff. But then they definitely have like a Where's Waldo vibe. By the way, guys, if you hear me wheezing, I am having the worst allergies today. And I think I have a little bit of wheezing going on in my breathing. So it has like this Where's Waldo vibe because it has things in here that you learn about, but it's also giving you information in here as you're like learning about it. So like treasure. Pirate treasure was divided among the crew with a double share for the captain. So these little tidbits of information, you know? So it looks like this, and then they have to go and find it. So you would read a page and then go and do all that. But it's pretty informative. So I think we can still get several years more out of it. So that's staying. This, I just got it for pure fun. That's it. I had it. It's pirate themed. It's a cute little picture book. The Pirates Next Door. Here, let me show it to you. See? Fun illustrations. So there you go. You can never be too old for picture books. We'll still be doing picture books in high school. I think it just matters on how you approach it. This time, I mean, we're just doing it just because it's cute. That's the only reason I'm doing it. I'm not tying this into any ELA concept or anything like that. I'm just doing it because I think it'll be fun. Now, this one I do think that we've outgrown. And so I'm going to put this in my get rid of book stack that I have going on because my kids are just not into Lift the Flap. But I'm going to give it one last go around here. And it's just a really cool lift the flap. It gives you information underneath all the flaps. Sometimes it's just kind of dialogue happening. But see, a lot of times they give you really good pieces of information, you know? And there's like tons of them throughout the page. Let me show you the next one. So you have all this and see like you have flaps over here. Sometimes, like I said, it's just dialogue, but usually you're getting just onomatopoeia, or look at this one. After the battle, dozens of sailors will lie dead on the deck. Oh, because this is a mutinous plot that's happening in here. There's a plot happening somewhere in here. Look, sharks have spilled blood. So it's just a cute and fun one. Okay, another thing that we are still doing, and I think this is going to be the final week in which we're doing this, we have a Shakespeare unit that we are doing. We are temporarily pausing our history while we do Shakespeare. This is fitting in perfectly with the time period that we're learning about in history. So I was like, well, if we're going to do Shakespeare right now is a really great time for us to jump into it. So this is our final week. We're almost done. We're like halfway through Act 4. There's only 5 acts. We'll be probably done with it on Wednesday, actually. But I created some lesson plans along with some videos and stuff that we do. And so tomorrow we actually we have some fun like poetry things that we're going to be digging into, and you know, some YouTube videos. So it is going to last us through Friday, but we should be done with this on Wednesday. And then of course we're going to celebrate by on Friday watching the movie. So this is my guide from Simply Charlotte Mason in here. And you don't need to create anything additional to this the way I did. This would be perfectly fine as a standalone. But when I first did Shakespeare with my kids last summer, I they really enjoyed it. And the reason I feel for my kids that they really enjoyed it is because I really made it come to life with additional videos to lay context, to help explain some of the stuff, for the activities that we did, the hands-on component, like that. And so this year, when they found out we were doing another Shakespeare play, they got really excited. And so I want to keep the love of it as much as possible and stuff. This has done a really, really great job. The only thing I did is just jazz it up a bit with activities, with an intermission in there that we're doing poetry during like this intermission period, YouTube videos to help clarify and explain it, and a bunch of other stuff, you know. So that's what I did. And then I just made one copy of the script or the play per child, so then they each have their own copy. So that's still going on. And then next week, stay tuned, because then we jump into our history, and that's going to be like a whole new animal in there. Oops, I'm just shaking everything. The other family subject that we are doing is science. And right now I've been kind of doing my own thing with science. So you guys, if you watched the previous video, you know that I did objects of matter, I believe it's called, by the same author, and he is fantastic. I love it. My kids are, even my oldest, who's going into 7th grade, this is actually, for him, it's probably like a perfect one for him. It's a little more advanced for like my younger kiddo who's only in 4th grade, because I've seen this book offered even in high school curriculums as like additions to science curriculums that they're doing and stuff like that. So I do think that this can get complex, but I really love the way that it discusses the concepts. And so far, my 4th grader is hanging on in there. I do have to spend a little bit more time with him, just making sure that he understands things, but I do that with both of them anyway, and then it just helps to solidify the information. I did beef this up, just like I did last time and stuff, because I really want them to have a thorough understanding on how this works. And so I created lesson plans to go along with it, also with videos and experiments and things like that. And I think, to me, that was like a big key for us in the amount of takeaway that we had in the last one. So this is only going to take us a week. This is going to take us from today until Friday. So a full 5 days, and then we are done. And I'm not sure, I may continue to do the next one in the series, which is, actually, I take that back. These don't go in order. So these aren't like you do here, step 1, step 2, step 3, like book 1, book 2, book 3. You can actually do them in any order. But I am taking the ones I think that will have the biggest impact to lay a foundation for physics for my oldest, you know, before going into high school, because this is our first exposure into physics, like a formal physics thing, and for chemistry, because that's our weak area. We are very strong in animal science, earth science, the human body, geology, astronomy, like these kind of things we've done almost every single year for our homeschool. But you know what we didn't was physics and chemistry. Now, part of that is because they just needed to develop a little bit more, you know? So anyway, so now we're here. I wanted to have that foundation. My youngest is going along for the ride, and he's getting an excellent foundation as well. And there you go. So that's what my plan is for that. So what else? So I did the pirate, I did Shakespeare, I talked about this. That is pretty much the only group subjects that we have going on. Almost. Yeah, pretty much. Now, we do have something that I call like morning time, and really is just an opportunity for us to wake up a little bit more, to wake up our brains a little bit, because my boys I have one boy, my youngest is an early riser, and my oldest is slow to start. So I need to engage his brain a little bit before just saying, here's ELA, do ELA type of thing, you know? So we do morning work, and while they're eating, we go and we do all this stuff. And then by the time we're done with this, we're ready to jump into ELA. That's pretty much how it goes. So if you watch my other videos, I've shared about this before. It changes every single week. I have, to be perfectly honest, about 20 different things that we do that I consider morning work, but I don't do all 20 things. I kind of just loop them in and out. So these are the things that we're doing this week. Next week, you might notice some similarities, but for the most part, I try to switch it out with something else in that stack that I originally had. You know, it's like you may notice I don't have philosophy for kids in here. And by the way, my kids are rebelling against it and they want me to bring it back. So tomorrow, guess what? If you're watching me on Instagram, you may see that we're doing philosophy for kids, because my boys miss it and they just really enjoy philosophy for kids. So if you watched any of my other videos too, especially like on Instagram, this is not new. Like I, again, loop it out. So we took a break for it for a good 3 weeks. And now I'm bringing it back and we're going to go over it for a week. And then I'll probably loop it back out and bring it back in a couple more weeks, you know? I've been working out of this book probably for 3 months, but probably no more than 3 weeks. And I finally achieved my goal. My youngest was the one that he would get messed up with idioms and hyperbole. And he would intermix the two and get confused. I think we finally have it down. Because I asked him today, like I do every single week, what is an idiom? And he got it. So I'm like, okay, repetition with my youngest is so key. Constantly repetition. So I think we finally have it down. So the pathway that I'm on, I think, is solid. All right. So you guys may have seen this already too. Ancient Mythologies by Charles Kovacs. Absolutely love it. We're in there. Right now we're learning about Indian legends, folk tales, and myths and stuff. And we're not going to be done with this. Listen, I will be very happy with this if we finish it by September. I don't even think that we're going to finish it by September because we literally just take it one small story at a time. Okay, so we have that going on. You guys know I go over this. This is like a big workbook type thing and stuff, and we just do it orally. I go over that. We are still doing poetry. So I do this family style. I've talked about it before, so I don't want to talk about it for too much now. But when we're done with this, that's when we're going to do the logic stage, and they're going to have their workbooks, and they're going to work on it. We're going to still do a family style, but they will be filling in the student workbook at that point. Right now, we're all just doing it orally. I ask them questions from the teacher's guide. We discuss, we talk about it, read the poem, discuss the questions, and then we're good, you know? Famous men of the 16th and 17th century. Right now, we're learning about Queen Elizabeth I. And we're not going to read it cover to cover. These are the people that I would like for us to learn about this school year. And so once we finish these people, I'm going to shelve it, and then it's going to come out some other point in our homeschool education, some other history period, you know, but I just want to cover, I think this is about 1/3 of the people that's included in the book. So we're definitely not doing all of them. So that I think is pretty much the end of our group subjects. So now I'm going to switch gears and I'm going to talk about what our ELA is looking like right now, specifically for my 6th grader. This is our first week after taking about 3 or 4 weeks off of ELA. And instead we were doing our project-based learning with the Ferret Ecology Unit from Royal Fireworks Press. And so the unit really only took us 2 weeks, but we were gone. Like we just took off of school for like a week and a half. So it's been a solid month. So I don't want to just throw everything but the kitchen sink at him. I just want to ease us into it. So he is reading his way through Simon Sort of Says. By the way, I had to have a different conversation. At one point, I will have a different conversation on how I picked these individual readers for my kids to read and the criteria that I base it off of and stuff. But in short, I will just say they have their regular literature book that they read, that they do literature analysis, reading comprehension, like all the good stuff. But I also give them another additional book that they have to read through during school time. This is very different from like their pleasure reads. Pleasure reads, they can read it anytime they want. I don't care. But I also give them books in addition to their other stuff that they have to read during school time. Now, they can read it obviously when it's not school time. They can read it at nighttime if they get really into it and stuff. But the reason I do it is just because I want to expose them to different genre and writing styles that they otherwise would not pick. So a lot of times these books are not something that they'd go to Barnes and Nobles or the library and be like, oh, this is so interesting, I'd get it. It's me picking it because I think they're interesting and knowing something that I think that my kid would like, even if it's not something that he understands he would like. Does that make sense? Anyway, so that is how Simon Sort of Says. And here we are. And guess what? He read it last night. He wanted to read it because he picked out his book that he wanted from the stack of books. I give him a stack of books. I tell him, which one do you want to read next? And he picks one out. And this is what he picked out. And so he wanted to read it starting last night. And he's already 1/3 of the way through. So I'm telling you, if I don't force them sometimes, they won't do it. And then once I do it, out of, let's just say an average of 10 books, there might be one book in there that he absolutely was just like, I could have done without it. But that's really good odds, you know? And I because I forced him to do it, exposed him to all these other different writing styles. And he's found several new authors that way that he has enjoyed. So anyway, that's my whole spiel. That's pretty much everything I would have said. And so Simon sort of says he's really enjoying it. We are working our way through writing and rhetoric, and we do this together. And he does all the components in there. We do it together. We talk our way through it. He writes whatever it is that he has to write in. But this is one of those curriculums that's, in my opinion, so far, this is book 6. In my opinion, I don't think that this is a curriculum that you can pretty much hand to your child and be like, here, do the work in here, as opposed to the next one I'm going to talk to you about. But it's not one of those. It's one that you have to still work through it with them, because there are things that you, as like, in my opinion, I think it is. I'm sure that some parents can, like some teachers can just give it to them, and it may be like that. But because I specifically picked this so I can keep an eye and do things that I haven't had a chance to, like this level 6 is working on argumentative essays, essentially, and we haven't done too many argumentative essays. We've done a lot of other types, but not too much on this one. And so I want to make sure I keep my finger on the pulse. So this one I do more one-on-one with him, and then he does the work, whatever work is needed in here, he does it independently. So there you go, we're doing that. This one for me, Literature Odyssey, grades 8 through 10, this is something I can hand to him independently. I actually have, like, besides checking his work and kind of like checking in the beginning of the day, being like, oh, what are you going to be doing for today's lesson? Besides all that, I don't like really do anything like with him on it. He has his suggested timeline in here on the things that he has to do, so he knows exactly what has to be done. He's really good at that. He does the stuff, and then he does the assignment. I check at the end of the day, what did you do? Show me. And then he shows me, and then that's that. For us, he's really strong in literature analysis. I think that he it's hard for me to find a good literature curriculum, because he's just really good, and he grasps the concepts really quick. So my challenge is to keep him challenged and engaged. That's my thing with him. So a lot of times I have to go above grade level for him. And even this one's a little too on the easy side for him, which is why I can just hand it to him and be like, here, do it. But I think that there's a lot of really great value, or else I wouldn't have him do it, because I don't believe in busy work. But I do feel this is really well laid out. He enjoys it. The way it's done is a little bit of a break from other units that we are also doing, like Beyond the Page, like Memoria Press. So I think that this provides a really great balance, kind of like a buffer in between, So anyway, he's doing that, and then he's also doing algebra, and he does that all online. So that is what he did today, in addition to, the group subjects that I just shared. Okay, and now for my 4th grader. He is really into 2 specific books, and one specific book is his ELA. So he is doing a here it is. Let me just push that off to the side. He is doing the last couple lessons of his first unit from Beyond the Page. Did I say Build Your Library for my 7th grader? Or did I say Beyond the Page in Memoria Press? I don't even know what I'm saying. If I did say Build Your Library, I was wrong. We're not doing Build Your Library. My 7th grader is doing Beyond the Page and Memoria Press, in addition to that the Pandia Odyssey, whatever, that other one. Where was I going with that conversation? Oh, just that this is his first unit from the U from Saturday. Those of you guys, if you're tracking what I'm putting out, you may be like, did you just literally stop this lesson 2 lessons before finishing it, before you guys decided to take a break from ELA? Yes, my friends, I totally did. I'm like, this is around the time that we decided to just take a break. We're like, you know what? Let's take a week off of school and stuff. What happened is, after we took that week off of school, I totally didn't expect that we were going to jump into that ecology unit, and we did. And so this is just hanging in the wind. So we have to finish it out. We're just 2 lessons away from finishing it. So anyway, he has to finish this. So with the view from Saturday, he is reading this on his own. He's not listening to an audio. He is just reading it, answering the questions, all that kind of stuff. So he's doing that. And the reason I'm saying that is because I have to explain these two. So these are the two. First of all, it started with this one. He is listening. Let me see if I have. We have a newfound love for Yodo. A newfound one. And I had the Yodo card for Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. And so guess what? He is listening to this and he loves it and stuff. So I think he's about halfway through it. Why is he halfway through it? Because actually he's been on this book, I would say, for probably 3 weeks. But why is he still on it? Because normally he would have been done by now. I'll tell you why. Because he decided to start Matilda at the exact same time. So he's reading Matilda as well. And now that one, you can tell how much he loves it because he is way further along. And he started this one only Thursday, I think. Thursday. What day is today? Monday? Yeah, I think he started it Thursday. And he's already that far as opposed to Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, you know. But in all fairness, I think he really likes Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. I just think that he likes Matilda a little bit more. So there you go. So Matilda, he is also doing a Yodo card for. So he's listening to it, following along in the text, and annotating. Okay, so that's what he's doing. Obviously not annotating when he listens to it in bed because he's actually been listening to it for nighttime too, like as he falls asleep and stuff. But during the day, I make sure that he's like annotating and stuff. And Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, he only really does this during the daytime. So then he's just annotating and doing the stuff with that. So anyway, he has 3 books going on. Sometime this week, hopefully 2 out of those 3 books will be finished, and that way he'll only have 1 book, you know. But if he's managing and he's juggling all those books, I'm like, why not? You should see my my 6th grader, his stack of books by his bed. He has a constant like 6 or 7 books that he reads through on rotation, like or one night he's reading this and one night he may read out of 3 different books. I am the total opposite. I have 1 book and I am like zero focused on that 1 book and getting through that book, and that is it. But they are different for me, and that's how if they're able to handle it like that, I'm fine with it. So the other thing that he's doing is he is doing writing with ease. So we're working our way through writing with ease. So I reintegrated this back in starting today. We have our grammar that we're doing with writing and grammar. And then that is pretty much it for our ELA. So we did this. We did writing with grammar. And he did his Beyond the Page unit. And he's reading through these books. So that's what he did for his ELA today. And then with math, something new that's happening with our math is I'm giving Math with Confidence a shot. We shall see how this works out. Today, he thought it was too easy, which I fully expected. A lot of the first lessons are going to be review. However, I think that this is going to be a really good mesh with them. I think that this is going to speak to him in a way that he gets it. And he was doing fine with Eureka. Let me just clarify. The math that I was using before is Eureka. He was doing fine with it. I just had to extend lessons and do additional practice because some of the ways that they were explaining it just wasn't resonating with him. So I've had to pause lessons and switch tracks and stuff. And that's when I am starting to realize that Eureka, at least for 5th grade, now we've done it for kindergarten, 1st grade, 2nd grade, 3rd grade, 4th grade, it was fine. 5th grade, there's some sort of disconnect happening, so I just have to switch gears for 5th grade. And so I decided to do this. So if you're following along, you also know that I'm also doing Beyond the Page math. Let me grab it, hold on. So we've already completed 1 unit from Beyond the Page. We did place value, million to thousands. This is the next one we're going to be doing, the 4 operations and stuff. And we're going to be here for quite a bit because it's 26 days worth. And so we'll be here for a bit. Now, we didn't start it this week just because I wanted to just get into the rhythm and flow of this. And I didn't want to add anything else to it. But starting next week, we're going to be doing this and we're going to be doing this. You know, so I have nothing to say about Math with Confidence because I haven't used it, and I hate talking about something when I haven't used it. I will say I am pleasantly surprised with how they explain. I don't have the teacher's guide in front of me, but how they articulate concepts, I guess, in a way for kids to understand. So I am pleasantly surprised, you know. But I can't say, so please don't ask me like any which way. I did check the standards against my state standards and they flowed exactly. When I checked it against the standards and the methodology and the contents to Eureka, it all matches up as well. And I know Eureka is a solid program. Excuse me. So anyway, so I know that there's a lot of debate. People have very strong opinions, either yay or nay for math with confidence. I can't really say either which way. And I also think like it just depends on your child. The right math curriculum is the one that your kid's gonna get, regardless of like, oh, is it like this rigorous and blah blah blah. Like, who cares? Especially in the K, first grade, second grade, third grade, it's all basic elementary. You're doing fractions, decimals, multiplication, adding, division, like, you know what I mean? It's not like you're doing upper level math. Whichever one's going to give you a strong foundation, and the one that your kids is going to understand, I think is going to be a good one, you know? So anyway, math with confidence, but I am also doing this. So keep that in mind. So I have that. I think that's it. So that's it. So he's doing this for math. He did that for ELA, and I kind of went through everything. I think that's it. Let me know if you guys have any questions. Drop them down below. And then don't forget, next week is probably going to switch up again. I'm going to add more ELA to both of their stuff until we're up to like the full load. And then our morning work will probably change. Also pirates, we should be finished with pirates by the end of this week. And then we're going to go into a new theme starting next week. Same with science. We should be done with our science 2 this week. And then we're going to start a different science the next following week. We have not jumped into our fall, like our 26-27 science curriculum yet. I did finalize my picks though, so I can't wait to share that with you guys on that. But anyway, let me know if you have any questions, and don't forget to subscribe. Bye.